Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilakshyan Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha in Upashama Prakarana, section 35. Prahlad continues to practice vichar, spiritual inquiry, and he is in a very advanced stage, practically enlightened, needs a little more maturity, and that's the stage of the story. The workings of his mind, in other words, the practice of reflection, is being presented here in Yoga Vasistha. In other words, aspirants must practice inquiry in the same way as Prahlad did, if you want Prahlad's attainment. But attainment is just attainment. Liberation does not have any differences, whether Prahlad attained it, Buddha attained it, or whomsoever attained it. The goal is just the same, one whole. Not without W, it's W-H-O-L-E. So with that we continue. He indeed is successful in life who has seen the termination of the blazing fires of duality. All the Upanishads always open with 3 peace chants, chanting peace 3 times. Peace, peace, shanti, shanti, shanti. And they relate to 3 types of fires. Every soul experiences not ordinary type of fire news. 3 types of fire. The fire relating to subjective miseries. Every human being देहधरे का दंड है. You have entered human body. Certain things you cannot escape it now. Your body will age. If you are pricked by thorn, you will have to bear with it and do everything needed to cure it. I'm joking, but at the same time, simple points I'm referring to. Body can give you endless problems. Thank God. God takes care of 99% of your problems. You deal with only 1%. So that's referring to adhyatmik thap, subjective misery. Subjective misery is most destructive misery. Because all the world you are experiencing on the basis of your subjective personality. And then objective trouble. Everything is well with you, but somehow you go out and mix with some people who don't like you. And you have placed some trap to put into big trouble. Simple trouble these days. Swipe away all the computer system of yours. That's objective trouble. And then act of God. Everything is settled down. So the news breaks. The big hurricane is coming. Lord Hari is coming with a big cane. Adhyatmic. All these are called fires. These fires are in the realm of duality. Duality means you exist in a world of multiplicity. He has experienced the ceaseless rains of true vision that pour down from the clouds of divine wisdom. One who has attained success in life, that's what Prahlad is talking about. One who has attained enlightenment. He has experienced the ceaseless rains of true vision. Allegorical, poetic language. You are in, as if you have been in a cave or darkness all the time. And now you have been brought into a daylight. There isn't even a shadow to distract you. Only light pouring down. His mind glowing like the full moon. Now, the fire term may not give you a good understanding. So immediately the scripture switches to moon illustration. The mind becomes like full moon. It's like what full moon does to the world. Lots of sap enters into the plants. It's a nectarine effect of the moon. So, a saintly consciousness begins to have a graceful effect on the whole world. Sends forth the cooling rays, and the mind radiates, not ego-based thoughts, but the divine presence radiating to the mind of a sage. O God of gods, the self that abides in me. This is a very advanced stage, and also you have to understand, no matter which stage you are, when you think of God, majority of people begin to think of pilgrimage centers, temples, far away as possible. But from an advanced point of view, is a childish approach. You are not mature enough to understand that the very act of your mind to plan for pilgrimage or whatever is activated by God Himself. God is the source of the operation of your eyes, the source of your hearing process, the source behind your whole brain. You say, no, you don't even know anything. It's like just trouble even in a finger, you have to go to a doctor. You don't know anything. But all this body process, who is handling it at every moment? And you'll be shocked and surprised that every part of your body is God Himself. So you don't have to pick up some sacred material from far away. I'm joking. I'm not joking at the same time. If you are advanced, you don't have to go on sticking to external things. To understand that easily, when you dream, everything seems real as long as you are dreaming. But while all things are real, what is the truth? Where are you? You are everywhere in that dream. Suppose in your dream, someone comes in your dream, says, become a yogi, come to an ashram, go after, find God, and then we'll say, where is God? I'm just leading you a kind of allegorical to implying that everything that you want, the basic point, your own self, where are you? You have become everything of their dream, in that dream. You are the very fabric, threads behind every dress that you see in your dream. You are the very substance behind even roaches and crows, vultures. You are the very stuff. But it's tough to understand it. The entire universe you not as ego, but the real you, the I am. That I am is the reality behind all. I am is the very source of all is the very fabric of the entire universe. So, why to keep your mind, unless you are in lesser state, as in kindergarten, everything is important. Pen is important, paper, and all those instructions are important. But your ideal is not to stay confined to that level. When you talk of God, understand God is closer to you than anything that you can imagine. And therefore, with advanced movement, the idea that God is with me begins to develop more and more, blossom, to such an extent that I am that. That's what the goal is. God is your very reality. So first you discover God through your intellect, keeping a little distance. God is there, but somehow I am going to merge in Him. In advanced stage, the question of merging, surging doesn't arise. God alone is. I have attained you by a sustained practice of inquiry and meditation. Adorations to thee and adorations to I am, again and again. Section 35. Prahlad continues to practice reflections, vichar, and presents his experiences. Prahlad said to himself, all this is nothing but Om of the Upanishads. When the names and forms are negated by the force of spiritual insight, Brahman alone remains as the only reality. Om Upasana, I have already talked to you, A-U-M. With the A of Om, what is implied to understand that you are body, first point. But be intelligent. If you are body, then why not you say you are the whole world of matter? Can you separate matter from matter? So even begin with that type of mind that begins to entertain that in the very physical plane, I am body. Sanskrit was Vishwa. And Vishwa relates to the cosmic physical plane. The entire cosmos in a physical way is Virat. Now if this advances, come to a little more adult state, grown-up state. When you say, I am the body, who is saying it? Body is not saying it. The whole body concept is in your mind. So body, in fact, or all the matter that you see and you think they are different somewhere else, your mind is creating it. Just like in your computer, you see certain things and there they show one thing is in one corner, another thing is far away. But both are before your eyes. What lies before your eyes? So, coming to that stage, I am mind. Term, Sanskrit term, tejas. I am nothing but the subtle body. But then subtle body is cosmic mind. Can't separate mind from cosmic mind. Now then, if you can enjoy, this is my mind, silence it. You have cosmic mind. Your mind can't exist. It's a wave. Wave goodbye to your wave. Discover. It's cosmic mind. So God is thinking through you, feeling through you. God is behind all your mental functions. And then come to further level. His mind is nothing but pure veil of illusion. When you sleep, you are with your causal body. In causal state, all things that you experience in the waking state, they are not there. But you are with your causal body, the cause behind your mind. Not cause. Now identified with that stage, unconscious stage of your personality. That unconscious stage becomes interpreted as a conscious mind. Conscious mind becomes interpreted as body. All these are coming from the unconscious level. Then I am that unconscious soul. The term is prajna. And the cosmic stage matching up with that is Ishvara, God. Your unconscious permeates all your reality, is all pervading reality, but unconscious is playing like a wave. That unconscious that permeates all your reality is a wave behind that Ishvara, God, who permeates the entire cosmos. So, just like we describe that as a mind you are a wave and cosmic mind is the ocean. As a causal body, again you are a wave, cosmic causal body is the ocean. And cosmic causal body is God, Ishvara. So with A, U and M, you have come to that level. And when you have come to that level, you go further. Even the idea Ishvara connecting with the world is act of Maya. So even Ishvara level, what is then the reality? Brahman, the absolute. Brahman alone exists. That's what Turiya. A, U, M and the Anuswar match up with physical, subtle, causal, transcendent. All that comes under Om. So study Om, enjoy Om, and stop roaming. This absolute self is not confined to the body, consisting of bones, flesh, blood and fat, but beyond the body. It abides in the sun that illumines the world. Now, when you begin to draw to your mind this understanding that I am the self, and still you are engulfed in miserable state. So therefore, bring your mind to a little broader view of yourself. It is the same self that is presenting a miserable picture in your personality is shining through the sun, illumining the earth. So why are you wasting your time, earth? Be inspired. It is the interpenetrating essence interpenetrating essence is a figurative word. And simple illustration is given. You bring milk and ask a kid to look into it. Tell the kid, find where is butter in the milk. Nowhere you see butter. But butter is everywhere in the milk. Where is God? God is everywhere in the world you are seeing. God is very consciousness, awareness. No matter what you are experiencing, the idea comes in your mind, Where is God? Answer is, turn your attention to awareness. No matter what you are experiencing, just move away from the content of awareness to just awareness. And that awareness is God Himself. Untouched by your experiences of pleasure and pain. They are reflections created by mind in a state of unenlightened mind. Now, understand the glory of the self. Instead of passing the days in a miserable way, think of yourself, how great you are. Instead of going after finding your source, your family line, and linking yourself to someone in Alexander's time. I'm joking. It is a self that gives the quality of burning to fire. So wherever fire burns, don't think of its terror that is causing everywhere, but think of how much power you have. It's your glory that has gone viral in this whole universe. Fire is burning, glorifying God. God is behind it. Liquid water performs all the miracles. That behind it, glory of the self. And that self you are. How viral you have become. And respective qualities to all elements and objects. It is a supreme enjoyer seated in the cave of the heart. It's Ananda, Satchidananda. And where is that Satchidananda? Right in the cave of the heart. And you, your personality and your idea for your identity is just an illusion. So the more you know, greater is your self-effacement. Though ever actionless, the self is the basis of all activities. When you are sleeping, speaking in a figurative way, you are actionless on your bed. But though you are actionless, in your dream you are going through amazing things. This is one way to understand. You can be one side actionless. Brahman is actionless, but through Maya, he creates a world which is experienced by human mind and minds of others in different ways. Assuming the form of time, the self encompasses all objects, all the things you read in history, millions of years ago. All that is same self. If in your dream, if your mind were to stretch itself to inquire into history, and in your dream, your mind can have tremendous stretch. And we are talking to a historian. Millions and trillions of years ago that you are talking about in your dream is right on your bed. So So, who has assumed the form of time? Your own consciousness. Your own consciousness has become space. Time, space, causation. But when I say your own consciousness, means your own absolute reality. Not the ego. Ego is not you. So whenever I say you, I'm not referring to your ego. Otherwise, your ego will swell up like anything. Like a potter's wheel, which does not go anywhere, but yet continues to mold various pots. In the same way, though unmoving, the self continues to mold all objects into different names and forms. It's an allegorical way to explain. The whole world is given an illustration in the form of clay. And a potter creates so many forms of clay. Pots are many, they are different names and they have different stories. But the reality behind all pots is clay. And all that has happened, that a divine hand has molded them in different shapes. But clay stays clay. In the same way, all that you experience is nothing but consciousness. But allegorically speaking, led by Maya, that consciousness has been as if like a potter's wheel. And it has created countless names and forms. Names and forms, from that point of view, they're countless. You can have countless pots, clay pots, but the substance behind the clay pots is nothing but clay. If you like a different type of illustration, you can have countless ornaments of different shapes and sizes and different stories. Ornaments of gold, but they're nothing but gold. Gold has become shaped into all those. The differences are recognized through limited mind. Differences are not real. You may hold on to a ring with a tremendous story. Later it slips down from your finger. Somebody else who holds it, he doesn't know anything story. All he knows is, oh, it's gold. And that much value I will get out of it. Try to understand. So all this world is nothing but gold, that Brahman. And that Brahman is every person. The practice, therefore, Aham Brahma, I am Brahman. Sohamasmi, I am that. To make it easy, first entertain, God is my friend. Such a good friend, he cannot separate. And then continue to communicate with God. And the communication is effective when you become more and more inspired to follow the right path. Because you can no way make God miserable. So open up your heart of misery to Him. And when He opens up His heart, it's all joy. Ordinary friend has a different situation. You open up your heart, tell your misery, and he dumps more misery on you. This is divine friendship. Though having maintained the illusory experiences of past embodiments, present embodiments, and future possibilities, the self is timeless and immutable. All your experiences of past, present, and future, that your mind is always busy with it. You don't understand. All that you are experiencing is based on your iPad, big eye, your own nervous system is a pad. Take the iPad away, then what happens to your study of millions and trillions of years? Stars spread out, million light years away, stories of countless personalities. Behind all that is the magic of your mental process, limited mind operating through your nervous system. And all this has nothing to do with it. All reflections, reflected suns go through countless things. But the sun has nothing to do with it. Sun is the reality behind them. And at the same time, every reflected sun has such trouble. Can't imagine. So try to figure that out. So, the idea, I have gone through so many embodiments. Therefore, your mind now conjectures, I have to go through at least 10 or 15 more. Process of enlightenment is not dependent on time. It's not a happening. It is removing the veil of illusion. Because time is not a reality. The self is timeless, spaceless, immutable. Though apparently having experienced numerous conditions of pleasure and pain, the self is ever blissful. This Atman, fearless in its nature, the intention of the scripture is to engender in your heart abhayam, abhayam sarvabhuteshu. Fearless. Also understand, as long as you are in your body, the body identity has such hold upon your mind. You have to go through experiences of pleasure and pain and handle them in a very serious way. But while all this you do, and you must continue doing it, leave no stone unturned in handling things with a proper, realistic understanding. But while you do all that, keep always a window open to understand that all this you are doing is in the world of dream. And your reality is never going to be affected. So in your heart, allow a sense of fearlessness to sit quiet, a sense of stability. a sense of immortality. Stay quiet, ruling over all your sentiments, just by eyes gazing at you. Simple point again brought out. Always understand God is supporting you. God is with you. Anything can happen. But one thing cannot happen, God cannot reject you. That's not within God's power. He is omnipotent, but there is one exception to the rule. He can't abandon any soul, because all souls are His reflections. So, coming to the glory of the Atman, that Atman is fearless. Assumes numerous forms of objects in this world and becomes the cause of worldly experiences comprised of pleasure and pain. And all experiences of pleasure and pain, behind all that, divine consciousness. Can you experience anything without consciousness? That consciousness is absolute. Swifter than wind. All things that you see that give you a kind of a sense of marvel in your mind. But God is absolutely marvelous. Swifter than wind, steadier than mountains, purer than the vast sky. This self is the essence of all that exists. And that's what you are. That's what Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. This Atman alone is to be sought. So therefore, of all things you go after, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. For the sake of this self, all becomes dear. So why to go after dear, dear? That's the old stories talk about deer hunting constantly. Everyone, every hero, every personality goes into deer hunting in all stories. But that's just allegorical. So instead of hunting for what is dear, understand your very soul is the dearest of all. And things become dear because in relation to your soul, there is a little dairy moves towards object. This Atman alone is to be praised. This Atman is to be meditated upon. Whatever thing you praise, you must realize behind it is that glory of God, glory of the self. That's what Gita brings vibhuti. All things that are joyous, etc., and glorious, behind that is God. And God is the self in every individual. When this Atman is discovered, one crosses the ocean of the world process. Allegorical term, world process, this whole entanglement in a world of time and space is kind of an ocean. And Brahman is across this ocean, beyond this ocean. By realizing Brahman, you cross over the Bhavasagar, the ocean of the world process, and attains the supreme abode of immortality. The self is like the black bee, the taster of honey in the lotus of the heart of every being. Again, allegorical, nothing to do with black bee. Just like black bee goes over a beautiful lotus, goes after the very source. So who is the taster of the lotus? The black bee. Who is the taster of your heart? All happiness, etc., that comes in your heart, or whatever you experience, who is the experiencer? The self. The realization of the self is similar to recovering a friend in a stranger by the force of recollection. It suggests a little episode, storyline, parable. A person goes in a train. He's alone, he feels miserable, but suddenly he looks at, in another area, just very close to him is another person. He also has been feeling miserable, but they look at each other and he asks, "Where are you from?" and so forth. And some little talks start, and then there is a gap. Then again some talks start. Now, you are coming to the destination very close. And then something happens in the communication that you discover that this person has been your boyhood friend. When you were 6, 7 years old, you were playing with him. And now you are 6 feet tall. And he is also tall. You cannot recognize after so many passages of time. But there are still memories of old times. And what a wonderful thing there that you have been with such a great friend. So even though you are always with God, who is the greatest of all friends, but you have not started talking to him. You practice your devotion, japa, meditation, then gradually the God begins to talk to you. And then happens something miraculous. I am that God. That God has been my reality all the time. If a friend were at a distance, there might be the necessity of calling out to him. But the friend in the form of the self is the indwelling reality. Now we don't have to even shout. Therefore, all that is needed in attracting the attention of the friend is chanting of Om. When men of the world are served by others, they become proud and conceited. But such is not the case with the Supreme Self. Although served by one and all, the Self is ever untouched by pride. We are describing the virtue of Brahman. The idea is you have to practice yourself. Brahman doesn't have to practice. First important virtue, abhayam. Do not let fear rule your heart. Next, humility, nati manita. Do not let ego dominate your mind. Humility has a very subtle point. If ego rules your mind, even if you say, I'm very humble, or even if you utter words of humility, you are highlighting ego in your mind. As long as you are doing that, you are not really practicing humility. So humility is not a matter of palavra. It's a matter of blossoming. A tree cannot say, I'm blossoming, I'm blossoming. Look at it, there's nothing but thorns. So that type of humility has to be understood. And it will happen by your maturity of sadhana, not by simple understanding. Oh, from tomorrow I'm going to be very humble. You will crumble but never be humble. Like fragrance in flowers, oil in sesame seeds, and sweetness in fruits, the self abides in all. To understand how wonderful it is. You are the sweetness permeating the whole universe. And your problem is, how can I reconcile with that family dispute? All this being said quickly, but in process you have to have, the more you understand, greater will be your patience and sustained effort, strength. So that's the purpose behind it. Though ever abiding in the heart, the self is not known due to ignorance. Your heart is the greatest temple that the world can ever present. You don't have to enshrine God in the heart. He is already shining in it. And though that is the reality, yet led by ignorance, everything you are doing is because of God. Everything happening in your body is because of God within you. Countless things happening on the earth because of God. And yet that God and your reality is not your ego. You stay out of your ego when you go to deep sleep. So why are you not recognizing the presence of that God? So ignorance doesn't allow you. You are in the same train. But ignorance doesn't allow you to realize the friend of all friends is there always. So through wisdom you realize the self is here and now. All this is the self. When discovered, even like the discovery of a lost friend, the self becomes the source of great joy. That discovery gives you ananda, bliss. The vision of the self puts an end to the evils of the world process. And that joy, that experience of bliss will not let your mind go after worldly objects. No pleasure can compare with it. So therefore, that experience is progressive. You will not get ananda in its full measure. But every little touch of ananda inspires you not to stay in the world with the same karmic process, but stay in the world practicing yoga so that your soul is moving to ascending steps of enlightenment. And with this I will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukmiva Bandhanan Tyor Mukshyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyant Ma Kashchid Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.